Alright, today's lesson is on the parts of a castle, and it's going to be 2 pages because it's a glue-in. Parts of a castle 1 and 2. So, we looked at some pictures of castles here. You can see, some of the fortifications. You're familiar with the towers, the walls. The moat is a pretty dominant feature of this castle, and this as well. This castle is Neuschwanstein in southern Germany. It's more fairy tale than it is defensive. It was really built much after the time of the Middle Ages, when people really didn't build fortifications and castles anymore, weren't really necessary. It was just built because the Prince of Southern Germany was kind of crazy and really into swans, and he built this castle as a fun place for him to live, and it's full of swans, and it's a great place if you ever have a chance to visit. But it's the castle that, like, the Disney castle is modeled after. A lot of people think it looks very similar to the castle in Harry Potter, which it kind of does. A lot of castles are modeled after this one, but this one isn't really that defensive. It's more decorative. It's, of course, from a video game. You can see kind of the layout with the inner keep there, with the walls around it, concentric walls, different levels of walls. I like this Lego picture, actually, because it shows the town inside the wall, which is how it would have been. We have the castle or the keep up there at the top, and then we have the town inside the wall, and then outside of the wall would have been the farms and the mill. So here's the first glue-in, and then the second glue-in is this picture here, which we labeled off of the first one. So we have first, number 1 is the outer bailey, or the outer courtyard, or the outer ward, and then the inner bailey, or the inner ward, is right here. So they're just kind of the large grassy courtyard areas. Number 3 is the wall, or sometimes called the curtain. And then number 4 is the keep, which is the strongest part where the lord or the noble of the castle would live. In French, it's called the donjon, but usually in English we call that the keep. In number 5 is the drawbridge, of course, which is lower down over the moat to cross. Number 6 is parapets, they're called. It's the bumps on the wall that allow people to stand and step out and fire from cover, arrows. Sometimes that's called a crenellated wall or crenellation. Number 7 is corbels, which are just structural. They're these little stones that stick out that allow the parapets to sit and not fall down. Number 8 is called maculations, which is a very fancy word for holes in the ground. So there's holes around the tower so that you could throw stones or pour boiling water or hot oil from the castle onto the attackers. Number 9 is the moat, which wraps around the castle as a fortification. Number 10 is the outer gate, which is called the barbican, and that is the outer gate you'd have to get through. Number 11 is in the back. That is called the postern gate, or basically the back door back there. Number 13, this is kind of an important one. Number 12, that's the arrow loops. So kind of the long, skinny windows that are tapered so that you can shoot out from inside, but it's very difficult to shoot into them from outside. Number 13 is the portcullis, which is the word for those big iron gates of a castle which drop down. Number 14 is the gatehouse, which is where the person who has to open the gate all the time would live. Number 15 is called the murder holes. So in between that first and second portcullis, as you're coming in to attack the castle, that would be roofed, and there would be holes in the ceiling which would allow people to, again, throw rocks down or pour oil or boiling water, and those holes were called murder holes. And number 16, the very last one, is rocky ledges, just indicating that castles were built on hillsides and with cliffs. Those things were advantageous because it made it easier to defend the castle. After this, we, of course, watched David Macaulay's video called Castle, the classic animated show where it shows them planning, building, and defending a castle.